Do not have a search warrant, but if you don't have anything to hide, you can allow us to search your home without a search warrant, said one of the officers while holding a rifle in his hand and a riot shield over his face. So a lot of people ask this question, well, why did you let them search the house? Number one, I didn't know that there was anything in my house. I didn't know that there was anything illegal in my house, okay? Number two, I was intimidated. I was this 21-year-old with a little child in my house, and there's like 15 DEA agents with SWAT gear and rifles and dogs and shields over their faces at my door. Hey y'all, how's everyone doing? Listen, I'm gonna do something different for the next few weeks. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be reading little snippets from my book. This is it right here. But God, sometimes purpose is found in your darkest hour. I'm going to read, let me tell y'all, I'm going to be reading little clips, snippets from it. Let me tell y'all, do you know that since this has been in print form after it was published, I have not read this book. Now, I read the book, obviously, while I was writing it. I read the manuscript several times. For correction, for flow, all of that stuff. I did that several times. But since it's been bound, since it's been in print form, cover attached, all of that, I have not read this book, right? Sometimes it can be a bit emotional too. Even when I tell certain stories from the book, it can be a bit emotional. So if I get emotional over these next few weeks of book reading, of me reading from the book, just bear with me, because sometimes when you look back, you bring your whole self back there. And so you feel all the feelings that like it was happening to you in the moment. So anyway, I'm going to be reading. Today, I'm going to be reading from chapter 1. And I'm going to start on page 3, right? So this would be the time that I'm at home. Me and my daughter, who's 2 at the time, and I hear a loud banging on my front door. Okay. I look through the peephole, and it is, I didn't know then, but, a SWAT team, federal DEA, and, they're in SWAT gear. They have police dogs. They have shields on their face, and they have rifles in their hands. And so this is where this picks up. So here we go. Then I heard a strong voice saying, "DEA, open up." Terror gripped my heart, and nervously I opened the door. "Are you Nadine?" Again, I tried to swallow, but there was nothing to swallow. "Yes," I breathed. "Do you know someone by the name of Eric Edwards, aka Sean, aka Mike?" They said all of my fiance's aliases, so I had to answer to one. "Yes, I do," I said. "We have just arrested him for being a kingpin of a large drug operation that has spanned several states." I felt frozen. I could tell there was no expression on my face except a blank stare. I'm telling you, at this moment, I'm in shock. I think I was going through physical shock. Okay, that's what I'm feeling in this moment. That they had to pull me out of the shockness that I was in. So they said, "Ma'am," and matter of fact, they said that several times, "Ma'am," and I came to, and they said, "We do not have a search warrant, but if you don't have anything to hide, you can allow us to search your home without a search warrant," said one of the officers while holding a rifle in his hand and a riot shield over his face. So a lot of people ask this question, well, why did you let them search the house? Number one, I didn't know that there was anything in my house. I didn't know that there was anything illegal in my house, okay? Number two, I was intimidated. I was this 21-year-old with a little child in my house, and there's like 15 DEA agents with SWAT gear and rifles and dogs and shields over their faces at my door. So yeah, I'm feeling all of that in this moment. Yeah, I let them in the house. I told them they could search the house. The house we owned was a 4-bedroom, 2-story home of about 4,000 square feet in a quiet, mid to upper class neighborhood. I had never seen illegal activity in that house. Neither had I seen drugs nor guns. So I had no qualms allowing them to search the house without a search warrant. I didn't know there would be things found in the house that could be used as key evidence against me in a federal court. They found a bag containing money, $25,000 in cash, and kilos of cocaine. Because the house was solely in my name, they arrested me. That year, I had just turned 21 years old. I was in my second year of college, pregnant, the mother of a 2-year-old, and I was headed to prison. As unreal as my arrest seemed, it wasn't as strange to me as the fact that my aunt had called me a week before and told me she had a dream about me laying dead in a glass casket located in a glass house. She called me in tears. I gently calmed her fears when she called and told her I wasn't dead and had no intentions of dying anytime soon. Let me skip down. As I sat on my living room couch, feeling the tight, cold metal handcuff around my wrist, staring across the room at a scared and sleepy 2-year-old child, I couldn't help but think of how I wish I had taken heed to that warning sign and many more I had received while involved with Eric. You know, sometimes detours is a setup for destiny. God uses sharp right turns in our lives. He uses it to turn us in the right direction. A sharp right turn to turn us from the direction that we're going in into his direction, towards him. God uses these things. I mean, all these things that I'm mentioning that I went throughout, and I will mention more that I went throughout this book, was God turning me in his direction. Think Joseph, right? That was a sharp right turn that took place in his life, from being just a teenage boy to now suddenly being thrown into a pit and then sold into slavery. But that right turn turned him towards destiny and purpose for his life. Think David, who was just a shepherd boy, and yet he's now anointed to be king, and he's now serving in the king's palace. And before you know it, he's a great army man, military man for the king. And then next thing you know, that king is trying to kill him. Sharp right turn, but that was a turn towards preparing David to be the second king of Israel. Sometimes we think that this sharp right turn, it's a detour. It's a failed detour. But God will use detour to lead us into destiny. God uses what we consider failure. We're thinking, oh my goodness, it didn't happen the way I expected. This is not how I saw it. This is not the dream that I saw. This is not how I planned it. And you're thinking, I'm in the wrong direction. I'm heading in the wrong place. And God says, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're exactly where I could get your attention. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, because it's this way that's going to get you into the purpose and the plans that I have for you. That detour led me to end up in prison, and it was in prison that I became free. It was in prison that I became free. You know, we see it as this is utter chaos. And yes, certain things are bad. Certain things that happens to us, that David and Joseph and you and I, they're bad. But can I tell you, they're catastrophic, can be. But can I tell you that even the chaos and the catastrophic things that happens in our life, they're not beyond God's ability to redeem. They're not beyond God's ability to use. Remember, I said before, nothing is wasted. God uses everything for his purpose in our lives. That detour led me to land exactly where I was supposed to be, in prison. Because it's in prison that the trajectory of my life changed for the better, that I'm here right now reading what I'm reading and telling you this story and what has happened to my life since. Don't despise even the sharp right turns that your life has had to make. Just ask God to use it. I'm going to be reading, little snippets from this book. I hope that you'll tune in and you'll join me. If you haven't gotten the book, it's called But God, Sometimes Purpose is Found in Your Darkest Hour by Nadine A. Raphael.